G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. Last time I got quite a few comments on the hangar door design, and I wanted to address a couple of these to explain why I did something that, if you were thinking of it in a particular way, would seem quite ridiculous. And that is putting these rotors behind these doors, making them swing back into the hangar. And a few people pointed out that this is taking up a lot of space in the hangar that I might not otherwise need to take up. And you're absolutely right. By building the doors swinging inwards, I do make it so that my vehicles have to travel all this way in before we can even get to where they're going to park. And I did this for a style reason as much as any other. I'm not a big fan of having the rotors visible from the outside, and if I had the doors swinging outward, they would be visible, so I don't really like that. I wanted, when the doors were shut, for you just to see a big wall of steel. And I also wanted that wall of steel to be set into the mountain a fair way, which is why I've dug this part and not used it for anything much at all. My intention's always been to take these sections and repeat them deep into the mountain. So I'm expecting to build maybe 4 of them at least. So that'll be 4 times this length deep down in there. 3 more of them to go. And because I was intending to do that, I really didn't worry about taking up that extra space. But I do agree that if you're not planning on taking up this much space, and you're not so worried about the aesthetics of having a rotor visible from the outside, you will be much more efficient to make the doors swing outward and give yourself that extra space to be able to use. Now, we need to do something else that I was suggested that I thought was a really good idea. And I've been using drilling guides for making this hangar fairly accurate on its walls because I wanted to have the stone all exposed. And if we're going to be making this hangar by sections, why don't we just build a section to use as a guide? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So if we head out here and grab... Oh, probably shouldn't have turned off my jetpack so high up. Forgot that they drop much quicker than we used to. And if we start this on the slope, we can lay this out to be the same dimensions as the hangar. And the dimensions of that segment, at least the entryway, we'll measure out the other bit in a second, are 14 by 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I thought I could count while talking, but it turns out I can't. 12, 13, 14. Okay, and I'm going to use these sloped pieces that I've got on the design inside to give me a better idea of where things are aligned. So that works like that. And now we've just got to measure out how deep each section is. So I'm planning on marking out from one of these steel bits to the next one. And that means it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks in between. So it's 11 blocks deep. But we'll do that by adding these in, just as we did before. And I'm going to use this both potentially as a drilling guide, but also I may end up using this as a welding guide when I get a welding ship, because I would be able to just project this onto my empty space and have the welding ship go through and do it all in one go, which would be very convenient. And I am certainly planning on building a welding ship. There are apparently a few limitations to welding ships that used not to be present, which is that their range has been substantially reduced, which is sad, but still should be useful for something the size of my hangar, even just having something that can carry more materials than I can in my suit. So I will get onto that before I weld up any more of the hangar. What did I do there? Because... what are you doing, Splitsy? Jeez. Make the same error twice in a row. I will be building a welding ship because I've got my inventory set so low, and having all that extra inventory space will be very, very handy. Oops. Get back here. There we go. Now, with this outline taking shape, you can see a potential problem in trying to use this as a drilling guide. And that is, my design specifically has no walls on it. So how am I going to know whether I'm losing my direction when I'm heading up this way? Well, I'm going to need to fill in these walls with something. But if I'm going to use this as a welding guide later, I can't have those spaces filled in, as the welding ship will simply weld them up, which really doesn't help me at all. So what I'm going to do is make 2 blueprints of this. The first blueprint, and we'll go to our hotbar and add one of these control panels. The first blueprint will be for the welding guide. So let's call this one Hangar Section. Okay. I try not to get creative with my names for functional block guides. I think keeping something simple and making it useful is far more helpful, and making it something you can remember. So Control B, blueprinted that. Next, we want to change this again, and we'll call this drilling guide. Oops. Hangar section. And I've set the name up that way because all of my, apart from one, drilling guides are set that way. And now, what I'm going to use is the steel catwalks. Now, if we hop inside, I can show you why I think these will be useful for the drilling guide. If we look here, for most of this space that's drilled out, I've attempted to leave it so that these blocks are slightly embedded in the rock. And it's probably more obvious on this side. So to make that happen, I need to drill on this surface. But if I have a cube, sometimes I'll get distracted and I'll end up drilling on the deep surface, which will leave us with a big hole and have to make the supports go deeper into the wall. However, if I use just the steel catwalk plates and place these down in all of the space, you can see that I'll only have one line to work off. And that should hopefully keep my drilling nice and accurate when I'm doing the hand-guided initial drilling, for want of a better word. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to fill in all of the different surfaces with these steel catwalk plates, as I think that'll make the most useful drilling guide for making sure that the rock walls are a shape that I'll want to keep them exposed. If you're not so worried about that for your particular design, I really wouldn't worry about placing these. They're a bit of a hassle because you've got a very fine edge upon which to place them. So placing blocks will be quicker, as it's always nice doing the blocks that are right up against the edge there, because I can place them really easily. Then it becomes more difficult. Like this. Come on. Especially since I play without a crosshair. I just don't like the look of it when I'm playing with my recordings. And I need more interior plate. So I'm going to grab that interior plate. I'm going to place all of these down, and then we are going to use this to drill out another section of the hangar. The reason I wanted to do this now is I'd like to create a little bit more room before and let's fill up our hydrogen while we're here. I wanted to create a little bit more room before I go on to the task, which is going to be in the next video, which will be the start of the butterball truck. And because the butterball truck's going to need a bit of space, I just wanted to make sure I had some room to put things in if I end up needing it. Plus, I really didn't want to forget to do this, as I think this is going to save a lot of time. There is another thing I just thought of, which you could probably do and might be slightly easier to place than these steel catwalk plates. I'm going to stick with the catwalk plates because I think it will help me be a little more accurate. But if you wanted to have just a reasonable guide, you could always use those slabs, as they'll keep you in a pretty narrow margin as well and probably be easier to place than these things. And there we go. Now we've got a reasonably complete drilling guide. So these will be easy to follow and I'll be able to drill this out as accurately as I want. And that means it's time to create the blueprint. There we go, Control B again. And I am going to have to grind this down. I was tempted to leave it here and I probably should have put it somewhere a little less in the way. Maybe I should have built it out off the cliff. That would have been smart. Because it would have been handy to be able to gradually add to this as I design the floor as well, because then I could have completed the other blueprint. Dang. Oh well. I'll have to think about that. I will probably need to grind this down once I get the truck built, because I don't think I'm going to be able to safely turn around that corner and then go down this steep cliffside here. Yeah, definitely don't want to be going down that. I want to be going out wide, so it will have to be removed, which is unfortunate. I should have thought about that and placed it, say, up on the cliff or really anywhere but right smack in the way. Creating work for yourself, Splitsy. Good job. Okay, now that we're inside, let's place down a projector, which I think is on this one. Place you down. Then we will project our drilling guide out and add a little bit more space to our hangar. After that, what I want to do is use the remaining time to plan out a little bit of the floor and how we're going to move the conveyor system into the hangar. I was given a very cool vanilla solution to this hole in the roof, which is using the vertical... Where they are? Where are they? Hello? There we go. Using the vertical windows and making this into a ventilation hole. I like that idea. No need to add any mods, and still should end up looking pretty cool if I can come up with a decent design for it. So I'm going to set up this drilling guide. I'm going to drill out this back wall to that depth. And then we'll come back to do some flooring and conveyor planning. And that should bring us up to the point where we need to be to build the truck. I'm very excited about the truck, as you can tell, because I keep talking about it. So now that I've lined up the guide, you can see what I'm talking about. If I drill along with these lines, they're actually a really easy guide to follow as well, because of the straight lines of the jail cell-like grid that the catwalk blocks have. Whereas previously what I was trying to do was head through each of these crosses on the armor plate, which is not quite as easy to follow. And for those of you worried that I'm drilling this out entirely by hand, no! No, I just follow the guides by hand, so we've got a nice neat edge, and then I use the butterball to drill out the middle. One other thing I will mention about drilling guides is that from my use of them, they're actually better when they're made of scaffolding. Complete blocks don't have as many bars in them or lines in them to follow. So I've actually find that using the scaffolding blocks actually makes things easier. And one of the other problems with the complete blocks is that once you're inside them, you can't see them. Because they've only got surfaces from the outside, they're invisible once you're inside the projection. So having these scaffolding, because they're visible from all sides, does actually make it a whole lot easier. So that's how we're going to use the guide to drill out new sections. And my plan would be to have the first parking section come off this side. But now we need a floor in here and in here so that we can design our truck. And that means I need to think about how I'm going to do this conveyor system. And what I talked about before was wanting to have it come under the floor and then branch off into each side. And the way I'm going to get it under the floor, and I'm going to turn off this projection because it's going to make things a bit more difficult than I would like. So what we're going to do is actually use our elevator shaft as our conduit for our conveyor system. And the way we're going to do that is first get the elevator out of the way, then I'm going to build pipes all the way down alongside these lights. And I'm thinking what I'll do, even though it's a complete waste of resources, is build them on both sides so that we've got that bit of symmetry going down and looks like there's even more stuff being carried up and down. So I'm going to need to grab a few parts and we'll lay those down, and then we'll figure out where we're going to join them onto the rest of the system. So that's what it's going to look like with them on both sides, which I think works reasonably well. And if we go through under here, you can see our conveyor system's right here. And I could probably loop these pipes around this side of the pistons and bring them underneath here. So if we're coming under at this height, the pipes can probably stop at this light here rather than having to loop back down. And to make it look like this is all going to function, because I may, if I'm feeling tight, not weld up both of these. No, wait, that's not the one I want. I want that one. Yeah. Like that. And then we'll drill around. Be careful here so that I don't destroy that. Drill around and bring these behind all of our pistons. Now, are we coming through at the right? Yeah, we are coming through at the right height. I actually measured it properly. Woohoo! So we come through here and here. And there we are. We're there. Now, you might see a little problem here. These don't actually align with one another. And I think I have a solution for that, which we'll check when we get closer. So let's bring those in here. And I want to bring these flat onto the wall so that I can join them onto that one. So if we use that and drill that out of there, and then I need to do this. No, not that one. That. Oh no, not that one. I need the mirror of this one. So that'll be pipes curved mirrored. So if I pop this one in here, I can then put this one there and it'll line up perfectly. Maybe a little unnecessarily convoluted there, but I think this is the neatest solution I can do while leaving this door open and not having to double up on having these transformer boxes, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to have two of those because I had a couple of ideas of how I could work it with two, but this snaking up here and bringing it around, I think that actually works pretty well. Oh no, that would require two boxes, because if I used one of these up here or something like that in place of this curve directly above that transformer box, I could probably have placed it, but then I'd still need the second one down there. So I'm happy with this as a solution, especially since convoluted pipes is kind of the look I'm going for a lot of the time. Yeah. Happy. Happy, happy, happy. And then we'll get rid of all those ones down there. Now we have to fix the bottom end, which means sending the elevator up. Come on. There we go. Oh. Bye-bye. And now we need to work out this one. With the hangar floor, I want to have those service access ways. So before we start planning how we're going to put these in, we need to build some of those. And I think the way we'll access these service ways will be get rid of these. And what we're going to need is some stairs. And I'm going to use vanilla stairs since I don't want to be able to see through them. So vanilla stairs like that. Then we're going to use these railings, which I think come from one of Ikester's packs. Oops. There we go. One like that, one like that, one like that. And over here, we're going to have our catwalk open. Where are you? There you are. So our catwalk open like that. So then we'll be able to walk down these stairs and into this space with the catwalk. And I'm going to lay out a bit of that design now so that you can have a bit of an idea of what I'm planning. So these will come out maybe one block more to here. And then there's going to be a whole row of them along this way so that you can walk all the way down to the access way for our rotor based door system. So in here we'll have a little branch which will go underneath the door, and then we'll have some stairs or passageway or something that'll allow us to get access up to that rotor. Kind of from a vaguely roleplay point of view of being able to repair them and being able to access their machinery without having to obstruct flow of vehicles through the hangar bay. And when I'm designing stuff, I've mentioned this before, I do like trying to think of a little bit of roleplay sort of stuff. I find it helps me make my designs a bit more interesting. Geez, I dug that out deep. That's okay though. Now, we'll also have a row of these blocks going down this way. So we've got access on both sides. And this area up here where we're crossing won't be the only one. We'll have crossing points in various locations. Possibly, we could do them at every one of these dividers. That could work reasonably well. Let's get the tick out of the way so that we can plan our next move. And also so that I can demonstrate something that messed up last time. So you guys might remember that all of my ships all of a sudden became disconnected from the connectors. Still haven't worked out why that happened. But because of the way I reconnected the tick, if I press P to disconnect my connector, my wheels are now locked. And if I press P to connect the connector, or to unlock my wheels, I connect the connector. I lock the connector. That's a better way to say that. So, solution. We are going to disconnect from the base. We're going to go to our G menu and we're going to select our connector and we're going to put switch lock on. That way, anytime I need to lock to the base, I no longer need to use my park brakes, which is going to be a lot better. Now, this is where I'm glad I have gyroscopes, because if I don't want to use my thrusters, I can still use them to get over some bumps. We'll drive this out into the sun and park it just outside. Hopefully not off the edge of the bridge. Much better. Now we've got a bit of space to play with. So these catwalks will come across this way. And I want these placed downward so that the driving surface is perfectly smooth. I could create more room under them by placing them this way, but then the driving surface wouldn't be smooth, and for the advantages I get from that in terms of aesthetics and being able to, well, build my pipes in that block, I don't think it's worth it to have it always rough when I'm driving out, as I just, don't really want that. So that's how that's going to go. Let's place a couple more this way. And a couple more under. Oh, I should not have done that. Alright, time to grind that down. Need a bit of space in my inventory first though. Ah, Splitsy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh. And my cargo container is full! Awesome. Guess these are going in the connector. Should be enough space. Alright. Now we can place down a couple of these this way. That'll do for now, because we'll just be repeating the pattern that I established on this one. And like before, I want to take advantage of our interior walls. And that means using their top and bottom surfaces, or what I like to think is top and bottom. So the one with the emissive strips and the one that's blank. And what I want to do is along these outer edges, I want to have the emissive strips. And I think of that in terms of if the lights go out, these emissive strips will still mean we can see where the edge of the hangar is, and they would prevent any crashes. Hopefully. So we'll do that along each side. I think that'll look nice. And then, because I want these service access ways to have this pipe pattern visible, so they look a bit more industrial, I am going to use our blank top surface, and I'm going to surround the catwalk passageways with these blocks. What I'm thinking about now is that if I place these in a little box inside, it'll create a little box shape in the hangar, and I don't really want that. I want to have more flowing lines down through the hangar. So what I'm actually going to do is grind away those ones and place these down along the side here. And this will also make it a bit more interesting in the tunnels. Because we have some of the tunnels with pipes on both sides, and some of them with just armor blocks on one side and pipes on the other, it should be a little more interesting to pass through, which I hope will end up looking better. And I am not going to weld this to test it just yet. This will take such a long time and so much iron that there are 2 vehicles that need to be constructed before much of this gets welded up. And those vehicles are the truck for the butterball so that I can make some really big iron trips, and at least a small welding ship. So hopefully that'll look decent. I think if I've gotten my head around it reasonably, it should look reasonably good. Alright, now we've got a nice flat surface there. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the bridge as yet, but whatever pattern I do on it, I'm actually going to continue inside. So as a temporary solution, I am going to just place down a whole bunch of light armor blocks to fill in the gaps so that it's all smooth driving in and out. Hopefully I don't hit this with anything hard enough that I destroy the blocks, as they're pretty flimsy as just their grid, but I think this is the best solution for time and effort right now, as I am definitely going to end up changing my plans when we get around to building that bridge. So anything I put down now, I'm probably going to end up grinding away anyway. And I do want a flat surface for our ground vehicles to be able to get in and out of the hangar now. Of course, one of the downsides of doing what I've just done, the tick is now going to have a great deal of difficulty connecting to anywhere on the base. And for that reason, and the fact that it's my only military vehicle, it's going to get the first docking slot in the hangar when I build them. so that the first vehicle out the gates is the one with some firepower. So the tick will get this spot here. I haven't decided how I'm going to display the ugly duckling, but it is going to get a bit of a display pedestal. This thing's been with me for so long now, I am never going to grind it down, and it's going to get some ridiculous lighting and potentially even some music, so that it can look ridiculously over the top and fit in with its... Well, I feel like it's almost got a personality now. The reason I wanted to do this first, before I figured out how to do the underground part of the piping, is that I knew I was going to need to drill out some of the ground here. And that will give me an idea of how deep I'm going to need to put these conveyor systems, so that we don't end up messing up our passageways here. So now that I've drilled out a bit of that passageway, and I will replace the bit that I broke, this gives you a bit of an idea of what I was trying to achieve. So you'll be able to walk along these corridors and turn down towards each one. Even with a vehicle driving overhead, you'll be perfectly safe. Now, it would have been potentially nice to have the rock exposed as the floor, but I never would have been able to drill it out accurately enough to be able to manage that. And because I can't drill it out accurately enough, I'm going to need to place something on the floor. And I think we may stick with our interior walls for this. Yes, we will. We're not going to be able to get any lights down here, so let's use the emissives on these as our light source. So we'll be walking along, be able to walk along here. Not that way. That way. We'll be able to walk along here even if the lights from the roof or the walls where I decide to put them don't manage to light this up properly. Something else I should point out is you may notice that it looks like I'm walking crooked. This is a bug that has been introduced. My base is not crooked. This happens even with artificial gravity generators. I hope it'll be fixed soon. So we'll be able to walk down these stairs, get into our access ways, and go to all the different parts. And now that we've placed those down, we can see just how deep we're going to need to go in order to get our conveyor system through. It can't be at the height of these blocks down here. It's going to have to be a block deeper again, so that it's not going to be blocked by any of these passageways. And that means it's going to be quite a hidden collection of tunnels. And I might, if I end up having the opportunity to, even use a door here or somewhere else that has access to those tunnels. Just for funsies. I don't have any good reason to do it. I just think it'll be fun to try and have it all connected so that I can access it. Have a, what I like to think of as a legitimate access point. So we're going to drill down a bit deeper in the lift shaft here. Oh, that's one block too low. That would explain a lot. Goes there. That does not go there. Come on. What are you doing? So place that there, that there. That should then follow through like I need it to. Yeah, perfect. Alright. Then we need to join these up, which will be... Maybe we could use these ones. One like that, and the mirrored one. Like that. Yeah. I'm happy with that as a look. We probably won't even be able to see this from inside the elevator, which is potentially exactly what I want. Alright, time to drill through and keep placing these down until we get to... Ooh, where do we need to get to? I would like them to come out directly underneath here. So let's create a GPS marker that we want to be directly underneath, and that will be split C5. Yes? Yes, you are split C5. Alright, so the marker's directly above us at this position, and that's sort of standing on there. I think it'll be fine if we use this here and then start drilling out towards the hangar. Oh, rats. We should, as we drill out this way, end up running into our corridor system above us. So we should be able to see it if we're drilling at the correct height. And I have gone a bit too deep in a couple of spots here. I'll need to fix that. There we are. There's our catwalks from our access way. So we did go one block further than I intended, but that's okay. Fortunately for this, it doesn't really matter because it won't ever really be visible. Let's go up above and see if I can make a temporary connection without ruining any of my designs. So we can see through there where we're connected to. We could, yeah. We actually can just drill straight down here. Because I don't need any of this rock. So since we didn't need that, we can now place that. And how am I going to join these two up? Oh dear. This could be bad. Uh-oh. Let's see. Can I deal with this in here? Yeah, I reckon I got enough stuff left for that. Yay! Phew. Whoops. There we go. Now we run around and we get more ice. Oh, I think I know how I can do it. It's going to look ugly, but it should work. If we go like that. And then we go like this. And then we should have that. Not that. Never that. What am I doing? There we go. It doubles back on itself, and I probably could have done that by bringing it down this way and then just bring it straight in, but alright, let's do the better way. Alright, so if we instead do this, then we can do this one. And then we can place this one. Because I knew that'd annoy not just me. So, there we go. Now they're connected up much more neatly without a double back. That will work for now. So that will allow me to get rid of the other conveyor system and bring everything down through the elevator shaft, which I'm pretty happy about. And I think we'll end up looking basically how I'd like it. I'm happy enough with this as the stair entrance, except we will need to have one of those there. Safety first. I initially had thought of maybe putting the stairs on this side, but that'd mess with the call button, and we're going to use the call button now because I sent the elevator all the way up. There will eventually be a door here, so I can't do this. But I feel like that's a good point to end this on, as we are now ready to start laying out the designs for the truck, and that is going to come next time. As always, there's that and plenty more to come, so I'll see you then. I really do like this view as we exit the hangar. It's so pretty.